See if I can make it through this. Practiced a bunch of times, but definitely a bit more real right now. I was here a few years ago with Dad. And he was very happy. I thought it would be eerie, but he was really happy to come here with me and show me where he was going to be resting. And told him I'd come visit him a lot. But I had two conditions. One was that he'd wait for a long time before he was here resting. He did pretty good on that. It was 8 years. Number two was that when I was here, he wouldn't freak me out. So I'm sure he's here right now. And Dad, I just hope I can do you good with what I have to say. For those that don't know me, my name is Debbie Dale Teresa Tim. Later in my life, I became Dale Tim. No. But for the majority of the time, I was always Tim. I'm fine with it. I know I'm very thankful for everyone that's here today. I'm very grateful for this gift that my dad gave me by bringing my family together for this. It's been way too long. Richard Lee Countryman began his dash on May 26, 1937, right here in Arlington. And though there's a date at the end of his dash of May 7th, 2016, he will never truly be gone, as I'm sure he'll live on in not only my memories, but all of our memories. My father was born to Oliver and June Countryman. My grandpa Shorty, he joined heaven in 1993. My grandma June in 1959. And when my dad passed away, the day before Mother's Day, one of the first thoughts that went through my mind was that for the first time in 57 years, my father was with his mother on Mother's Day. And I'm pretty sure there was a lot of catching up to do. Out of school, my dad spent some time in the Marines. Later in his life, he met my mother, and they married in 1958. I've heard it said that thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle. And the life of the candle will never be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. My father started lighting candles with his first daughter, Debbie, in 1958, followed by my brother Dale in 1960, my sister Teresa in 1962, and he just wasn't done. 7 years later, I came along. Rounded us out, 2 boys, 2 girls. We continued lighting candles, giving him 14 grandchildren, and so far, 21 great-grandchildren. In Dad's younger years, he did a lot of truck driving. Whether it was with my grandpa Shorty or my Uncle Kenny. Spent a lot of time driving log trucks, chip trucks. Even did some nice purple tow trucks here in town for a while. Spent a lot of time behind the wheel. When I was a kid, I can remember hearing him pull into the neighborhood. pretty easy to tell the difference between a log truck pulling in and every other car coming into the neighborhood. I'd hear that and I'd run down there. And I'd help them back in. Park right in front of the house. Truck fully loaded, ready to go in the morning. In all honesty, I can still think of those days and the time that I spent with my dad when I smell that fresh timber. There were a few times I'd ride with him in the summer, going up to the mountains to get loads. I tell you, as a kid, it was pretty cool. I can't do that with my kids or grandkids. My dad did it with me. I didn't particularly care for getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, especially when that first hour we get up to the foothills and we're at a diner. My dad's hanging out with all the other truck drivers, drinking coffee, shooting the bull. I didn't understand it at the time, but I sure do now. My dad was there with the guys he shared the road with. Guys that he had stuff in common with his people. I think he was kind of proud when I was there with him. That's my son. That's my son. Dale, Timmy. Right there. He was able to give me memories of us. Not too different from what I do with my children, my grandchildren. My dad showed me his tougher side too. I went with him to work a time or two when he was working in a dairy in Snohomish. Wasn't too bad for the most part. Shuffle the cows in, hook them up to the milkers, you get that done, and you get them going, you get that rotation. You gotta keep it going. Thought it was pretty boring. Until I saw a cow with a little bit of attitude kick my dad in the chest. It hurt me to see my dad take that shot. But he got up, brushed himself off, and got the job done. Once again, without knowing it, he showed me another side of him that I didn't know. I never forgot. But life wasn't all wrestling cows and drinking coffee for my dad. He also drove the bus to the skate-in Marysville on Fridays and Saturday nights. The good part of it was I always had a ride to and from. The downside was I never got to stay for second session like my brother and sisters did. I heard there was some wild stuff that happened back then. When I wasn't riding in a log truck with Dad or on the bus going to the skate-in, this will bring back memories. I was in the back of his Chevy Love pickup. No seat belts back there, kids, sorry. Remember one time, and I've told the story a million times, we were on State Street in Marysville. I'd be riding with my head on the cab there, and Mom and Dad would be down below. We were stopped at a light. And as the car ahead of us started coming, I waved at him. The guy in the car saw me, waved back at me. My Mom and Dad saw them waving at him, and they waved back. For the next 2 miles, they were trying to figure out who it was. To be honest, I did that more than once. In 1988 and into 1989, Dad came to live with me for a while. With myself, my oldest daughter, and her mom. It was a difficult time for him, and it was for us as well. I had a child that was about to be born and no vehicle, so it worked out for my dad and for us too. 3 adults and a baby in the front seat of that Chevy Love pickup. It was whether we were going to the store, whether we were going to my brother Dale's, and yes, even the hospital the night that Nicole was born. Think about that night all the time. Dad was the first one in my family to see her. The first thing he said was, "Hey, she has my eyes." 1989, Dad and Hazel met and married. My dad loved Hazel. Always will. Hazel, I'm so grateful for you for the last 27 years taking care of my dad. I don't think there was ever a time when I called Dad on the phone, or after a few minutes it was, "Here's Hazel."
That's about right.
I remember a few years back, I came into town and met up with Dale. All the kids were there. And I remember a van pulling up that gravel driveway. As it got closer, I saw that it was Dad and Hazel. And as it got even closer, I noticed Dad wasn't wearing glasses. I kind of got a little worried since Dad wore glasses since about the time he was born, I think. Dale, where's Dad's glasses? And I was worried. I was ready to start grabbing kids, get them out of the road, out of the driveway, out of the front yard. I said, "Oh no, Dad had LASIK." I still grabbed some kids, got them out of the way, but he seemed to do fine. It was then that we could all see my dad's eyes. Eyes of the man that taught me things that made me what I am today. And I know I'll continue to see him in the mirror, in my children's eyes, in my grandchildren's eyes. If I'm lucky, my great-grandchildren's eyes. There's so many memories in the last few weeks that have flooded my mind and emotions. Many of them are just for me. I've had friends and family through the years talk to me about regrets. Although I truly wish I could have done more with my dad, I'm grateful for all that I was able to share and do with him. I decided years ago that if we live in the past, we never see tomorrow. Through all the difficulties in the last few weeks, my dad gave me one last great thing. He gave me a gift that I'll never forget. A gift of these days with my family, Illinois, Arizona, California, Kansas, from Arlington,
Oregon.
And once again, my dad has given me memories. There's so many scriptures that can be used at a time like this. Very difficult to pick one. A friend of mine suggested 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. Therefore we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Dad, I hope you are here with us today. I hope you're at peace. And I hope that I've done you well. I miss you. And I love you.
back.
On behalf of the President of the United States, the Commonwealth and Marine Corps, and the great nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of appreciation for your loved one's faithful and honorable service to this country. Thank you, Flag.
That concludes our graveside service here today. On behalf of the countryman family, I'd like to thank you all for coming. Then we're going to go ahead and lower the casket. You're more than welcome to stay on the arch. You may keep your card.
Mm-hmm.